Welcome to another episode of One on One with the Tinted One. I am your host, the glass tinting films like a Tinter beating, hell raising, trailblazing, the one, the only one, the Tinted One, the Texas Squeegee, coming to you live from Houston, Texas, down in the Texas Squeegee Studio Podcast. And this episode is going to be entertaining, it's going to be interactive, it's going to be disruptive with some hardcore truth and some dark truth a la Shady J. And I'm hoping he's going to join me later on tonight. This is an open mic live reaction discussion. If you want to join the live, I just shared this into the Tinter Battles community Facebook group with the link. So if you're on that group, go ahead and drop me down some comments below. Shamal in the house saying no mames away. Shamal, that is your way of saying hello. So hello. Oh man, this is going to be quite the exciting episode. I had posted about this yesterday and it got quite the engagement. There is new emerging softwares in the tint and PPF for cutting. New emerging softwares coming out like DISRUPTIV, and there's obviously some backlash coming from Core's recent announcing updates. So we're going to go over that just here momentarily, but I want people to join, and anybody that's joining right now, I want the phones out, and I want you guys to start typing away to let me know, because I want this to be a interactive, very open discussion. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, the uglies of cutting softwares, because I feel there's a perspective that is missing whenever people are discussing this. It seems like there's a lot of hate coming towards some of the new price increases from Core, that some of the alternative perspectives are getting drowned out a little bit, with some people hesitating on shedding some hardcore truths, not to be punny, but to be honest, and leaving everybody with a proper perspective about these cutting softwares and what is the future and the state of these. So drop me some comments. Colin saying, John Little down in the comment section right there. Look, for everybody that's joining us for the first time, this is a 1 hour show. It tends to go by pretty quick, but this is the first time that I'm not really having a specific guest. This is an open mic reaction to Core's recent updates that has sparked disruptive backlash reactions, okay? So I'm just going to wait it a little bit out. So anyways, hope everybody's been having a great, fantastic week. Let me see here. What's been something exciting that's been happening besides a lot of this disruptive? I got to get this link out there to a couple of people out there. So give me just a second momentarily. We will begin this here shortly. Dean Mitchell is wanting to join here on the live. Hopefully he can find it. Let's see if anybody's going to be joining here lively. Nobody's actually sent in for a join. Give me just a second. I'm going to get this over to Dean, because Dean is one of the people. Look, anybody that is with Disruptive Film and Vinyl Designs, any cutting software, I'm inviting people for a 5 to 10 minute talking head segments. I want to hear perspectives. I want to hear the good, the bad, the ugly, the in-betweens. You send this out to none other than one of the originators of DAP, Design Access Program, Dean Mitchell, so that he can join us and help shed some light about the cutting software, since he was one of the people at XPEL that was laying down the film, laying down the blade to provide many of us with cutting softwares. Okay. And we're going to cut this one out. And let's get this show started. We interrupt you with this broadcast podcast on the Tinter Battles live stream on the Texas Squeegee Studio Podcast live in Houston, Texas. Tinter Battles 2025, September 9th through the 11th. All right, let's get this show on the road. Now, today's topic is, of course, none other than the cutting softwares. So let's go over some notes here real quick. On this week's news, XDC has officially sold out. That was news from last week, but they are happy to announce, they are proud to announce, along with me, this is record-breaking attendance with over 800 plus dealers and people coming from all around the world, marking XDC as one of the biggest dealer conferences of the industry. In fact, we have none other than somebody joining us here live to react to this incredible news. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the founder of Tinters for a Cause. He is one of the originating designers contributing to the DAP XPEL cutting software. From Canada, the National Director of XPEL Sales. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Dean Mitchell.
How you doing?
I am doing great. This is the WTF What the Film is up in the tinting community today, Dean. But first piece of business, XDC is completely sold out.
Completely.
Record-breaking attendance.
You know why?
I know why, but I don't know if you're going to tell me why. I have my sneaky suspicions, my theories.
Yeah. I don't know. Listen, you can gloat. It's because we got the best MC on the planet at XDC this year. The one, the only.
Look, I'm not.
That light above my head is getting on my nerves.
You need some of that dark neutral 15 to block out that glare up there. Speaking a little bit some French in there. International competitors, international audience. There we go. No, man, this is so. Look, the team behind the scenes have been doing a lot of incredible work. There's a lot of cool things coming up for XDC. What is the one thing that you're most excited about for this year's dealer conference?
Wow, that's a loaded question. Well, first of all, I can't wait to see you there and how you'll perform, how you're going to wow the audience. I have no doubt in my mind that that's what you're going to do. But, there's a lot of great new things coming out. I can't really spill the beans here because there's a lot of things that will be launched at XDC this year. There's new products. There's awesome breakout sessions. There's amazing guest speakers. There's just, it's insane. So I can't really get into details, but, what I'm looking forward to is seeing you there and seeing what you're going to do and how you're going to wow people. I'm a big fan, right? So you've known that for a while. So to have you in my backyard to entertain our customers is going to be just insane.
Yeah, it's going to be, it's cool. I've enjoyed working with the XPEL team. Kristen Gish, got to give it up to her. She's the one been behind the scenes setting up XPEL dealer conference and everything that we are yet to see. We're exactly 1 week out. 1 week from today is day one of XDC 2025 in Marriott River Center, San Antonio, Texas.
Yeah, I fly out on Tuesday, and so I'm going to be there for about 5 days. So we got a lot of work to do to host this event for. We're going to be 800 people, staff included.
Wow,
massive.
You generally get a good idea when that first general assembly and everybody's in that auditorium. You get a pretty good idea of how many people actually, like, what does 800 people look like? And then you really see it and you're just like, wow, sometimes it's a sea of people when you're standing from the stage. So
yeah,
it's going to be Tinter active, Tintertaining. It's going to be memorable, epic.
It sure will. Are you nervous?
Never.
Good.
See, nervous and excitement, they live right next to each other. Perspective is a difference between the two. When you're prepared, you're excited. When you're not prepared, you're nervous. So never nervous. Man, look, so let's get into this topic. All right, so let me just rattle off a couple of things. Now, this was based on my research here, all right? Core prices on the rise causes disruptive reaction. People are saying no more to core after being forced to pay more for core, causing tinters to be more poor with core. But are they? The popular cutting software for window tinters known as Core has recently announced a price increase. Window tint and PPF went from $475 a month to $600 a month. For current Eastman dealers, though, Core is priced at $315 a month for a difference of $285 a month, or a difference of $3,420 a year in savings. So if you're an Eastman dealer, you get it a little bit cheaper. Now,
which makes sense.
Right, exactly. And we'll get in more into the reasons and behinds, and I want to ask you more from because you've been on DAP. So now continuing on, again, this is based on my research, so I've gotten this a little bit wrong. David Kratz of Autobahn caught wind of this and seized the opportunity to capitalize on their growing frustration by releasing a tease using a lime green square with February 10th date written on it. Now, the grand surprise was disrupted by an anonymous poster on the 313 Window Tint Facebook group who trolled the trend, sharing a yellow square of his own with I Heart DAP. Now, I want to say this. This was not me. I promise this was not me. I don't post anonymous. Everything I post is straightforward. Now, the following day, David Kratz released news that Disruptive will officially launch Monday, February the 10th with a price tag of $119 a month or billed annually at $1428, plotting a disruptive declaration of war on Core. Now, that last part was just my little splash of entertainment. He's not plotting a war on Core, but, you know, in the game of business, it's all competition. So what do you like whenever you first caught wind that Core was raising their prices from a person that I'd assume you don't have a pony in the race, right? You're XPEL, you're DAP. From someone who doesn't have a horse in the race, what was your perspective whenever you caught wind the news came out of a price increase on Core?
I'm like, good for them. I mean, we did the same thing about a year and a half, 2 years ago, where we went from $300 a month to $350 a month. And I can tell you, we lost 0 customers over it, 0, because people see the value of good cutting softwares, right? You know, if you have to equate your film loss, your film waste, sorry, versus a good software. So, and people don't understand what goes behind creating these patterns, right? A lot of people don't understand what goes into it, the investment, the staff. I mean, for example, us at XPEL, we've got, I think, over 12 to 14 designers worldwide. They're all equipped. We all have mobile units. We're on the road hunting down cars every day. It's just a massive undertaking that costs a fortune. You got to pay these guys, you know, enough that they want to stick around and keep creating those great patterns, right? So it's huge investments, and in return, installers benefit from these patterns because not only do they save on film, they don't put a blade on the car. There's so many benefits to using cutting software in this industry. I don't have to name them, but and everything's going up, right? It's inflation. It's part of the game. You know, if you can't afford $350 a month for cutting software in today's world, I mean, stop using it. Or, you know, should you really be in this industry if it's the case, right? You know, it's just part of life, man. Things go up, prices go up, price of gas goes up. You don't stop driving your car because the price of gas goes up. Well, you're not going to stop using patterns because the prices go up. You know, it's just the way it is. And if you don't see the value, don't complain, don't use it, right? It is what it is.
So what do you like? There's obviously a lot of, well, I say a lot, but sometimes the angry opinion tends to get a lot, you know, tends to be louder than some of the more positive opinions. What do you feel is the reason, like the main reason why people were upset about this price increase from Core?
Any price increase is upsetting. It has nothing to do with Core. It has nothing to do with Eastman. You know, every time something goes up, people get mad. But again, what's an extra $50 a month, say, versus all the money it makes you save, right? What's stopping you from raising your prices by $10 a car when you're tinning, or $5 a car to make up for the cost? And PPF, I mean, you know, you do 10 cars a month, and you're getting, like, for a full front end on average anywhere between $1,950 to $2,400. Just, you know, charge $5 more per car if you're doing 10 cars a month, and there's that increase right there. So it's just, you know, and the prices are going to keep on going up on every software because we want quality patterns. You know, you want good people to stick around and keep creating those awesome patterns. So and there's a price attached to that, right? Yeah, there's a lot of other patterns out there, but who's testing the film? Who's designing the patterns? You know, I know how film and vinyl design works. For example, you'll send in your liners, they scan them put them in there, and then they rely, and that's how it used to be when I was using it. So I don't know if they changed the process, but they would pay me to send, or anybody to send their liners, and then they scan them, put them in the system, and then they rely on the users to test them out. So if the patterns aren't good, you're wasting your own film, right? So whereas we, and I believe Eastman does the same thing, we test our own patterns. We design them from scratch. We test them. We waste our own film, and then once we know that they're on point, we've tested them. We put them in the system for our customers to use. So we don't rely on people to waste their film to make sure our patterns are good, right? So everybody's got their way of doing it. Listen, if Disruptive found out a way to be able to have great patterns and to have people test them, and if they're, I know David Kratz well enough to know that he wouldn't put something out there without it being tested. How he can have a pricing that low to begin with, it's probably promotion. Maybe it's going to go up eventually. Maybe it isn't. Good for them. It's perfect timing. But do I believe that Core is going to lose customers over this? I don't. I really don't.
Well, so like one of the things that a lot of times I feel like is missing from the conversation is understanding on the back end, like with your experience and your background, what goes into a cutting software, behind the scenes, the things that people don't see, like what goes into an actual cutting software? Because from the installer's perspective, all we see is it's a computer. It's, you have your system, you access some of the patterns that are there, and you hit plot, it goes into the cutter, and then that's it. But what are the behind the scenes working that people don't see?
Well, like in our case, and I'm sure for Eastman as well, is in order to have access to all these vehicles, you have to have relationships, right? And again, we do our own patterns. I can't get into detail as to how we create those patterns, right? There are NDAs that are signed that we can't get into the details, but it's a huge undertaking. It's a huge investment. Like I said, there's equipment that you need, there's staff that you need to pay, and you need to pay them well. So obviously that's a lot of money. And you want to stay on top of the game, so there's investments involved in making sure that these patterns stay on top, right? We've started as a software company back in '97 creating patterns, and we're the pioneers, quote unquote. But there's a lot of people catching up. I mean, Core has caught up, right? So, but they've invested a ton of money to make sure that their customers are satisfied with great patterns. And there's a price to that. Hence the reason they're raising their prices. Hence the reason we raised our prices a year and a half to 2 years ago. We want to keep giving back, giving great quality patterns. Well, I mean, we have to find the money somewhere, and that's obviously in the monthly fees. So,
and that's general. That's natural in any company. Like if you want to keep reinvesting back into the company and making the software better, like I feel like any software, like whether it's DAP, film and vinyl, Core, they all owe it to their own users to keep reinvesting back and making the system and platform better. And research and development requires investment, which sometimes requires raising the prices, whether it's inflation or whether it's because now there's new features that are added, which sometimes it increases the maintenance cost of these things.
Of course.
And that's what also contributes to like rising prices when it comes to some of these cutting softwares. And I think like one of the biggest challenges when it comes to the perspective of a cutting software is that some people look at it as an expense while others look at it as an investment. It's a tool, and you don't cheap out on your tools because your tools are your money makers. So if your cutting software went up, per month, it's an investment. So you owe it to your company and to yourself to figure out how can this continue returning investment to your own business, your own company. And if that means going after dealerships because now you want to push more volume, or if that means investing more in the marketing because you want to increase your output, then it's gonna contribute to that. So,
and listen, it's a good thing. Like obviously, I'm preaching for my own choir, but if the software you're using decides to raise the prices, it means that they're investing more money in either good quality people that keep designing the patterns, more equipment, more sophisticated equipment to make it better. So, you got to take a step back and say, well, there's a reason for this. And yeah, the patterns are getting better. I hear a lot of my friends use, Eastman products, and they keep telling me Core is getting better and better and better. And same with us, right? DAP, everybody says that DAP is I've never heard somebody just drop DAP. If they leave XPEL, it's for other reasons, then it's not for DAP, right?
Yeah.
So And listen, there's something out there for everybody, but you keep in mind that when these prices go up, it's because the companies are making huge efforts to improve the overall user friendliness, the user what's the word I'm looking for?
Say it in French.
User satisfaction.
Right.
La satisfaction des clients in French. No, but yeah, so it's user satisfaction. So ultimately, who wins from that? It's the customer. It's the users, right? They get better patterns. They get an overall better experience. So, it's just part of the game. It's just part of the game. You just add it to your profit. Let the end consumer pay for it, And we're talking, even if it was $500 more a month, right? You can make it up on $50 more for a full front end on PPF, or $10 more a car. I was tinting 65 cars a day when I had my shop. If I raised my prices by $5, it's over $300 a day.
Yeah.
Right. So who cares, right? But am I getting good quality patterns? Am I wasting film? No. Am I putting a blade on a BMW back window that's getting softer and softer and scratches just by looking at it? No. So it has its value. So I understand some people that don't see the value, but instead of bitching and complaining, just do your own thing, man. Don't bash something that makes people better.
Yeah.
If it's not for you, it doesn't mean it's not for, a lot of successful business owners. You'll never see the good, successful business owners on there, no matter how big the shop is. I'm not saying those multi-million-dollar shops. I'm talking from the people that tint 5 cars a day to 65 cars a day, or do 5 PPF jobs a day to 20 PPF jobs a day. If you're a good business person, you see the value in that, and there's no price attached to that. It is what it is. So
right.
But we're in a very industry where people are very passionate, very emotional. So a lot of times people will just, obviously with frustration, say anything that comes out of their mouth, and it's all out of passion, right? So you take some, some of the comments, and you leave some, right? But again, if you want good patterns, good quality software, you got to pay for it. That's all it is. And again, I'm not dissing Disruptive in any way, shape, or form. It's not the price that will justify it in their case. Maybe I'm sure David and his team work really hard at finding patterns that will suit their customers, and good for them. Good for them.
I'm hoping one of them comes in. I'm hoping one of them joins on the live at some point. I mean, it's, we got a little, maybe like 35 minutes. I'm hoping one of them joins on the live, because I want to know more about what's going on with Disruptive. It sort of came up back in 2023, and then it disappeared, and then it made a reappearance. And so I want to know more about that. But, I'm quite surprised that more people don't use a computer cut system like as a unique selling proposition when they're selling to the marketplace, because that is a selling point, especially to the higher end customers. And it's all about how you pitch it. For example, like whenever we're working on certain projects and we pitch that, like that is something that makes us a little bit different, is that we're computer cut. Why is this important to the customer? It's like, because it prevents us from having to cut on the vehicle the way window tint is traditionally done. It puts it in their mind. I'm like, oh, it's traditional to cut tint on a car. I'm like, yes, it is for a lot of other people that don't make the investments on plotters and don't make the investments on these softwares. But for the people that do, it's a unique selling proposition. It's a marketing item. It's a marketing bullet point that whenever you utilize them in your sales process, it helps you to stand out, and it helps you to raise the value, which ultimately raises the price of your services that you're offering. And I don't see that happening a lot, surprisingly.
No, it adds a lot of value to what you're doing, right? Customers that know nothing about PPF or tint, when you tell them that all the film is pre-cut with a computer software, it's like, wow, okay, yeah, this is a legit place, right? Right. And there's, again, I'm not dissing anybody that still hand cuts, because again, that's true artwork at its best, right? So it took me over 20 years to realize that I was with the volume that I had. There you go, the golden knife.
Yeah.
But it took me 20 years to realize that that using software would make me save time and money. For us, it looks really good and professional to customers, but for us as business owners, it's time and money, right? Yeah. The time that you save from hand cutting, like I had 8 guys on the road, and on average, it'll take about, say, 10, 15 minutes to hand cut a full sedan. So if these guys are tinting 5, 6 cars a day, you make them save 15 minutes per car times 6 cars. They can do an extra car in the same amount of time frame, right? So it's just simple math, and for us, it made sense, but it literally took me 20 years to figure that out, right? I was like,
Yeah.
there's no way a computer can cut as good as my hands. But again, it's personal choice. There's a lot of guys and gals out there that still just love to hand cut and bulk PPF. That's totally fine. But if you start using software and you complain that it's too expensive, then go back to hand cutting.
Yeah, and that's moving backwards. I always get a kick out of the people that are considering softwares, and there's always that Tinter and like, oh, they'd always post a picture of their OLFA. I'm like, man, I get it. You're a hand cutter. But a lot of them, they're like owner operators, man. Like they kind of stay stuck for a while.
Yeah, a lot of people now can brag of the fact that they can hand cut and bulk because the newer generation is taught on computers, right? So old school guys like us are becoming, a rare breed with the fact that we know how to hand cut, right?
Did you just group me with the old schoolers?
Yes.
I definitely, it's funny. I'm starting to feel that way a little bit because when I talk to, like, I've been growing my team, and our newest hire, he's mid-20s, and sometimes when even with my other guy who's 21, I got one automotive installer who's 21 going on 22, and I got another flag that I just brought on the team is 25. But sometimes, like, I've been catching myself when I talk to them, and I'm like, man, I'm starting to sound like the old timers. Like, oh, back in the day, we used to start on these. And I've been catching myself saying it. I'm like, damn.
Well, and it's so much quicker to train somebody on computer cutting, because you're saving all that. Like for Windleton, for example, if all you're showing them is how to slap on patterns, and you're saving the whole hand cut process, you're saving a lot of time and making those newer installers more efficient quicker, right? So and then it keeps them from doing side jobs, right? If you can't hand cut, you're not going to go home and grab some film and try to hand cut it, right? You're going to want a pattern. You're going to want to keep it within the shop. And I had that agreement with my guys. A lot of them didn't know how to hand cut, so I would sell them the kits, and then they would use my shop, and it was just a way for me to keep them from doing work outside the shop that I didn't know what was going on in the car, and it's just a good way to train quicker and then keep them on board with you, and it is what it is. Right.
Hey, look, I've got more people that are wanting to join the live. So some final leaving words, like from I don't even know. You know what? Let's go back to 21. Mean Machine at Dean Mitchell. Mean Machine. Anyways, it's all the same, dude. I can't
change, baby.
Exactly. Wanted dead or alive. So, but anyways, man, some parting words in terms of this discussion here with the cutting softwares. What is the advice that you have for people, whether XPEL dealers, outside of XPEL dealers, how should they view cutting softwares moving forward?
As a tool, as a very effective money-making tool, right? And again, like I said it earlier, if the prices go up, know that they're working in the background to make the patterns better. So just use that to your advantage and add it to your costs, and then it's a win-win. So,
well said, Mr. Dean Mitchell. Tinters for a Cause, one of the original. Are you the or one of the originators of DAP?
No. DAP, no. It started in '97. I joined. Actually, I just basically helped the tint patterns and DAP get better.
Right.
So that's all I did. But DAP existed like way before I joined XPEL. But yeah, it started in '97. I joined XPEL in 2016. So huge gap there. But I just basically made the tint patterns much better than they were.
Made them a lot tighter, a lot more refined.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There we go.
Well, a lot of work, hence the price increase. So don't complain about software price increases.
There you go. Well, thank you for joining the live, Dean. I will see you next week. Right.
Yes,
giant hug.
Thanks for having me.
Giant air hug, and then I'll see you next week over there.
Yes,
appreciate
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining. All right, so that was Dean Mitchell. I'm going to bring on none other than another guest here. By the way, if you want to join the live, I've left it down in the comment section. You got to click the link, and then I'll see you down in my back end software here. Then I'll bring you up to the stage. Quick 5-10 minute talking head segment. So the more people that I get on here, the more perspective we get, the more value we all get out of this episode. All right. So the next guest that I'm bringing on here, he's none other than one of the tinters who is always at these events. He owns T-Town T-shirts and T-Town tint. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting none other than Tim Johnson.
What's up, buddy? What's up? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Sound check is all
Cool.
good. Everything seems good, man. So how's everything going on your end?
Good. Just trying to, wrap everything up. Hopefully, tax season starts to ramp up a little bit here. You know how that usually goes.
Yeah.
And I was hearing you guys talk about it, and I have all these people that use different programs, and I do live stuff on TikTok all the time, and people always ask me what cutting software I'm using and stuff like that. And it's tough to have a cutting software that you use that people hate or it used to be bad. You know what I mean? So then I use film and vinyl design. So, but
Okay.
I've used Precision Cut before it was Core. I used Tintec 2020. I've used what is that? Solar Guard one. Or the Solar Guard one was. I've used all of them. They all have their problems. They all have their fixes. And I think a lot of people have problems with the things because they haven't used it in a while.
So right now, like, what experience do you have? Like, what other cutting softwares have you used in the past?
So I've used Tintec 2020, which that was probably one of my favorite ones, just because you could save stuff easier.
Okay.
But what is it? Computer Cut? Yeah, Computer Cut. So I used Computer Cut. That was probably one of my favorite ones, Computer Cut. That seemed to have a lot of stuff.
That's the Solar Guard, right?
Solar Guard, yeah. And then
that was the first software I've ever used.
And then I used Precision Cut for a long time, which we had both of them. We used both of them just in case Precision Cut didn't have something. We went back to Tintec 2020. But I moved away from that when I opened up my own business and just used film and vinyl design. And I've been happy with it. And the good thing about my patterns too is usually it is a top edge. And if it's a bad problem with the top edge, shave it. File it.
Yeah.
Adjust it. I mean, quarter window sometimes be a little bit of trouble. And like you said, with pricing rides, being that cheap, not even that cheap, does that mean that comes with less patterns?
Right.
Before the idea was they're going to pay for the pattern. We were going to pay each pattern we wanted. We wanted this Dodge Ram. We would pay this amount of money for that person to do it.
That's what I see. I had gotten into the cutting software. I never had to pay for cut credit. So I don't have that experience or that background with it, but I know that people talked about that they would spend a lot of money on cut credits or like, I guess, getting credits for cutting, like stuff like that. What was the most amount that you ever spent on cutting like paying individual patterns? Like a month?
I have never, I don't think they ever released that in the Disruptive. I don't think they ever released that. And it fell off, and then this came up. So, I'm just, I like the patterns I have. I don't pay a lot for film and vinyl design, but I think they have good patterns.
Film and vinyl, if I remember, I got their pricing here. Their tint and PPF combined is $156 a month, $1,700 annually. Is that right?
Yeah, and if you buy it from your film people, it's even cheaper. So I used to buy it from. Which that might be because you got to buy a dongle, because you get a dongle with that one, and nobody's came out and said, is this going to be, is Disruptive going to be an online? Is it going to be a dongle? How does that work? So, but I used to get it from Flex Film, and Flex Film used to give me a discount, and now I buy it through Edge, and I get a way bigger discount. So my thing is with their new program, are they going to get rid of offering film and vinyl design to us? So that would be a gut punch too. That's good information to know. I was going to ask Jason if he had any idea what that. Hopefully they keep it in their, on their shop for me to buy.
So like, what's your perspective on like the rising prices with some of these cutting softwares? Do you feel like it's justified? Do you have a complaint against it? What would you do different, or how do you view this?
I need to see a difference if it's raising prices. You need to see a difference.
What do you feel like could be made better with these softwares?
I mean, I don't have a problem with the software I use. I really don't. Like maybe more notes, but I think Computer Cut. I think Computer Cut has that, where you can put your own notes in and make notes into it. And Tintec 2020, back in the day when I had it, was probably 4 or 5 years ago when I used it. When you hit save, it saved your pattern, even though it told you to save a separate pattern or a separate database. Because like the Ford Fusion, I used to have to make the little triangle windows just a little bit. I had to modify it myself. And sometimes it would go in there and they would re-update it, and I would have to go back in and change it again. But other than that, I don't, like I said, the programs I use, I don't see it being too big of an issue.
And right now, you're currently you're an Audubon dealer?
I'm an Edge and a Flex dealer.
Flex Films?
Yep, Flex Films.
Oh,
That's
okay.
I call it, that's my high end film. And then I use Edge for my dyed film. That's my entry level, my budget friendly, to help stay around the low budget people around here that don't want to raise their prices. And go ahead. And now I'm strictly flat glass Edge. I'm at strictly Edge for flat glass.
I got you. I just want to like make mention on it because I know John Little's been trying to get on here. So John, and this is for everybody else, search up Tinter Battles on Facebook and you'll see the live. I posted this with the link on that live. Click that link and this should give you an invite to come into the backstage area and just hang out here. For everybody else anybody else who wants to join, this is an open discussion. David Kratz would love to join, but out with the family. Crafty Kratz. He's out with the family. David Kratz is one person I really wanted to talk to because he's Mr. Disruptive, and I wanted to bring him on. And what can he share behind the scenes of Disruptive, and what can people expect? It launches on the 10th, I believe, February the 10th that it's going to launch. And I want to know more about this because it like, what I mentioned earlier in the show, it came out, it was announced in 2023 because I remember it having presence in Tinter Battles Amelia Island. And then sometime after that, there wasn't much noise that came out of it. So I have to assume that there was behind the scenes workings on it before coming back with an official release.
I just see Dave said they will continue to offer film and vinyl design.
There we go.
News.
They will continue to offer film and
vinyl. That's great news because their pricing is phenomenal, and I want you, if you guys want to know their pricing, become an Edge dealer and find the pricing. So
yeah, join me on the live. Make sure, like, if you go to Tinter Battles on Facebook, you'll see the link on that live. It says join me live, and it'll have a link on it. Click on that link, and it'll give you access to come onto the backstage, and I'll be bringing people on. But I am interested in bringing all kinds of people to talk about cutting softwares, current state of the union, and it comes in terms of some of these kind of softwares. They've been going up in price, but just like in anything that's technology, seems like everything else is going up in price. Some people feel it's justified, others feel it's not, and that's what I want to get to know about, and I want to get to hear more about this. We have
and I just raised my prices too for this year too. So, not because my film prices went up, it's because I've been on the lower end, and I wanted to offer my experience for better pricing. And like you were talking about with, promoting that you don't cut on the cars. When I tint out of my house shop. I've been tinting out of my house shop for 4 years now, and I have over 370 Google reviews. So I'm doing something right. But when people see it and they be like, "What is that?" Oh, you just type in the car and it tells you what it is. So you got to explain it to a little bit more.
Right.
Like you have people that are putting these patterns in and working on it, and it does make the customers feel safe.
Right. Yeah, it's a unique selling proposition in the sales industry. It's a USP. Some other people call them I forgot, unique offer or something like that. But for the people, especially the ones that are spending north of $300, $400, $1,000 on their tint, like to them, this matters. Like in the window tinting community, window tinting industry, you have different kinds of customers, just like you have different kinds of like tinters, frankly. But the people that are willing to spend more money on that service are going to be the ones that want to follow the path of least risk, which is why they look into reputation, reviews, ratings. Those things are important to them. And when you utilize the cutting software as part of your sales pitch, as part of your sales process, it helps to make you stand out amongst the competition. At that point, it's no longer an expense on the business, it's an investment because it's the tools. It's a tool of the company. It's a tool of the business that they use to make more money. And you don't cheap out on your money makers because then you cheat out on yourself.
Yeah, I've been oh, I need a new plotter so bad.
I got Colin on the background. Colin, I'm gonna get to you in just a second.
Okay, I just commented the link to John too, and I replied to one of his comments in there. So
I feel like somebody's got to message him directly.
Oh yeah, but I just wanted to jump in to let you know because film and vinyl, on the film, I don't have any stake in film and vinyl design. I just use it, and I like it. And I've been using it for 3 years now, and I've had in 3 years, I've tint probably 300 cars a year out here or more, and I probably had 3 cars a year that I have to like, okay, I don't like this pattern. Let's adjust it.
Yeah. I mean, every once in a while, like we use DAP, so DAP with XPEL, and every once in a while we get some patterns that are, it's extremely rare though, because they're pretty spot on. Even when it comes to the paint protection film, they're pretty spot on. But every once in a while you get, on Teslas, for example, a lot of the consistency on Teslas, they used to be not very good. So you get the exact same pattern, you lay it over one of the roll-ups, and it'll lay a little bit different. Sometimes you have something that's laying over, and like you said, you just go back in there with the blade and shave it off, or a file and file it off and adjust.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's just you get bad patterns, and sometimes it's the plotter. Sometimes it's the plotter. Like my plotter, I have an SD2 plotter, and then people always ask me on TikTok, what plotter is that? I don't recommend this, but that's what it is. It tunnels. It tunnels. So when it's cutting that top edge, it's tunneling, and when it comes back through, that tunnel's different. It doesn't connect in the same spots. So when it's tunneling, it could tunnel different because it's a cheaper plotter.
Yeah.
So using cheap plotters don't help cut softwares.
Don't cheap out on your plotters. Don't cheap out on softwares. Don't cheap out on your money-making tools, because you cheat out on yourself. I'm going to keep repeating this. Well, Tim Johnson, I'd like to thank you for joining the live here temporarily and sharing your thoughts on this. We got more Autobahn people than gnats are flying in, and I mean that as a term of endearment. It's like they owned the name, they loved it. I love that they ran with it. It's very entertaining. But anyways, Tim, thank you for joining the live. Hope everything's been going good. Hope you're selling shirts off the shelf like crazy. And are you going to be at WFR later this year? Or
I'm not going to. I'm not. We're most likely going to go to the Tinter battles. We're not going to do WFR because I like to try to do one event a year. So I think it's this time where it's a little farther over that way. Me and WFR in winter. My wife was like, "Yeah, we're not going to go in the winter." So, and I like to do one event a year. So bring them closer. I'll go. Bring them closer. I'll go more.
Right. Hey, this time at the Heat Shrink Battles is going to be a little bit different. We haven't announced the official competition lineup, but this time you got to come back and maybe we get another viral video with you. I don't know.
Yeah, I just seen the video where the promoting for the following or for last year. So yeah. Hopefully we'll be there. That's the idea. We'll be at Tinter Battles. So
yeah. Well, hey man, I appreciate you joining the live. We'll catch up with you and I'll see you down the road, Tim.
All right, buddy. Thanks.
See ya. All right, so that was Tim Johnson, everybody. T-Town Tints. I'm going to bring temporarily. So we finally got John Little. He has been a long-time industry veteran, tons of experience, and he is an Eastman dealer, I believe, operating out of Texas. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, John Little joining the live here. John, how are you doing?
Excuse my computer illiteracy. It took me forever to figure out how to get on this thing.
If anything, it's a testament to the user friendliness of Core, isn't it?
Yeah. It is very user friendly for sure.
I've used it before, and we did it like about a month. We ended up using Core for temporarily, but everybody liked it. And then just the interface, everything was good. I don't know what's been new since then. It's last time I used it was close to about like a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Oh, it's constantly changing. When Core came out, it was really to improve, from the Precision Cuts program. The Precision Cuts program had, it was a good one, but it had its hiccups. It had some patterns that fit, and the way most of these programs have worked, it's people just send in their patterns from all over. Film and Vinyls guys did it that way. I don't know if they still do, but I think they do. First Cuts, Computer Cuts, all of them, they just different shops sit in their things. Well, then you're not exactly always going to get the perfect cut because somebody may cut something different than the way you would cut it. And DAP was the first one and the best one. They were the top of the ladder for a long time, and they had people like Dean, doing the patterns. Had one person basically, and Precision Cuts decided that they need to come up with something that's as good as Core. Core. They come up with Core to make something as good as XPEL, and they've got guys like Mike Powell, Eastman Mike Powell, not Mike Powell, Audubon Mike Powell, and that's his job. He cuts patterns and does stuff. Rob Ruska, stuff. They've got their handful and doing it, and that way you're getting the right patterns. And I mean, I honestly, since it's been core, and they're constantly updating, they pretty much stay on top of the new things coming out. There's been a couple times where I got something brand new that it didn't come, they didn't have it in there yet. But for the most part, by the time I see something, it's already in there. And and as long as I've been using it, it has been spot on with all the patterns. The top edge has been good. They're occasionally you see something that's not right, and most of the time it's a glass issue. It's usually a glass that's don't have the right top edge. It's a
Yeah.
bad glass. I've ran into that a couple of times. I ran into it today, actually, as a matter of fact, on a I think it was a Chevy pickup. Yeah, new Chevy pickup. The top, I'm like, why is that not that gap? Different shape. And then I get to looking, it's the glass. It just had a bad glass in there. But
We have a Graham. Is tomorrow's your birthday?
it is.
Oh wow! Well, happy
Yes.
early birthday.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I think all the guys in Australia and Japan and stuff have already sent me because I guess it's February the 8th there.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, all the way from Graham, all the way from Australia. So how long have you been with Core?
Well, since its inception, I've
Wow.
had it since inception. When they did it, I don't know how Disruptive's doing theirs. I don't know if they've tested it or anything like that, so I can't speak for them. But I know that Core, they beta tested. They sent it out to a few. I wasn't one of them, actually. Most of the people in the industry that know me, I've been around a long time, and I was the biggest anti-plotter guy. You'd
No
see
way.
me bash it and bash it and bash it, and until I finally used it and realized it's a tool. It's
Mhm.
not. I mean, I still think everybody should know how to hand cut, but to be efficient at hand cutting. But these software programs are great to have, especially when you do volume, and we do volume, so it just speeds things up, especially once you get it down. You won't get right away. It won't be as efficient for you, because it's a learning process when you start using these software programs. But once you get it down, it's like, man, how did I ever live without it?
Yeah.
I love it. Especially when patterns are right on. And I can say that I can say that about DAP, and I can say that about Core. Their patterns have always been spot on. Now, when I started, I was using precision cuts, so the different precision cut 3, and then it went to 4, and then they eventually did away with it when they created Core. But what I was wanting to address is the people complaining about the price increase. I know Dean said it perfectly. I mean, if it's, you can make up the difference, and a job, will pay for that increase sometimes.
Right.
And go up $5 on your job on things. And we have film companies. I mean, all of our film companies, every couple of years, they have price increases. People don't probably won't have my cat jumping, or my son's cat jumping down here in my lap. Um, but people don't seem to don't flip out and have a major problem when their film goes up. It's just, inflation and the cost of operating and all this. I mean, it's just part of it. What I've noticed, the people that are complaining the most about Core are the ones that aren't really Eastman users.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with
seems
that.
to be the common theme.
Hey, at least Core offers it to somebody. If you're, offers it to people outside of Suntech and Lumar and Formula One shops. If you're, DAP, they try to keep it, in, you know, within their family of XPEL users, and there's nothing wrong with that. I have no issue with that. And the people that want Core, well, it's owned by
You got
Eastman.
you got to pay.
If you're gonna, if you're not going to be an Eastman dealer, then you're going to pay a little bit more than the Eastman guys do,
Right.
So my price is considerably cheaper than what this is. I don't even know if it, I don't know. I think it went up a little bit on us too. I'm not even sure. I don't care. I'm gonna still use it. But anyway, that's what just the people grabbing. I just thought it was kind of funny, that they're grabbing, and then everyone that's grabbing weren't really using Eastman anyways. I've talked to many guys that aren't Eastman guys, like Randy Humphreys. He uses Core, and hold on, cat's going out. But he uses Core, and he loves it, and he had no issue with it. And people like him, I just using him as an example. I talked to other guys that use it that aren't Lumar or Suntech, but
who was the first cutting software like in our industry? Who started this whole thing?
Film and Vinyl Designs, Brett Wassel. And I know this because Brett Wassel his family was my distributor, my Lumar distributor for years here in Euless, Texas, over in the suburb of Fort Worth. I'm in Decatur. I'm northwest of Fort Worth. But Brett Wassel's family had that. Brett was a rep for like the southern part of Lumar, for the southern part of, down there where you're at, the southern part of Texas, and I can't remember, Louisiana or something, he had. And then David Mustet was my rep for up, for New Mexico, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Texas, I think, is what it was. And anyway, Brett come up with that. I don't know if he was the brains behind it. I don't know if he created it. He had other people helping, but that was the very first software I'd ever heard of. He actually, even back probably 20, 25 years ago, sent me a plotter. I didn't know what a plotter was. Sent me a plotter and the software and wanted me to try it out for a couple months. And I'm not gonna lie, I almost rolled that thing out into the street, because I wasted more film than I would have wasted hand cutting, trying to learn it. I didn't like it. I hated it. Of course, it wasn't as good back then, and it come a long ways. Had to use different size rolls of film, so I wasted more film. I was always a 20-inch cut and 24-inch, and try to utilize every piece, every square inch.
Right,
But
yeah.
anyway, he come up with it. I told him come get it. I didn't want it, and then fast forward to about 2016 when I started having to preload a couple of my dealerships, wanted to tint everything, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to sit here and hand cut 20 Chevy pickup doors, 20 sets in one day. I'm like, it'd be great to have that plotter thing now. So they got me all hooked up with that, and that's what I've been using it ever since. I use it at my shop too now.
I'm gonna have to second and echo your thoughts when you said that at least Core is being offered to people that don't use Eastman products, because the time I had we were in a situation a couple years back where we didn't have access to DAP and we needed a cutting software, and luckily Core was available, even if though that it cost more, but that there was still an alternative that was just maybe on similar status as DAP, and Core was available for that. And I personally, if I didn't have access to DAP and I didn't have access to becoming a Lumar dealer, I would pay more for Core, not to be punny, but I would pay more for it because it is a great software. And if you view it the right way, it's an investment, it's a money-making tool, and it does have a value to the company.
If I was using DAP, if I was able to get DAP and I had it before this Core come out, I wouldn't have switched. I mean, DAP was is a good program, and was and still is. It's just not available, for anybody.
Right.
And that's all fine. And that's the benefit of Core. You don't have to be a Lumar person or Suntech, to do it. And it's just, it's out there. There's plenty of them out there. If they don't want to pay that, they're still filming vinyl designs is a lot better price, I think.
Yeah. But I think like the common census, it seems like that, Core is amongst one of the top choices that you can get for pattern software for tinting and paint protection films. Right?
In my opinion, the top, right there at the top, and everybody else is behind. This is my opinion. It's core and DAP, and they're right there together. And,
Yeah.
And I mean, that's my opinion, because I've used some of the other ones, and they may be up there now. I don't know. They may have stepped up their game. I don't know, but
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, disruptive, they made a lot of noise. They're being that very word. They're being disruptive. So we'll see once they launch it to see what's going to come out. And, it's if nothing else, and I hope that it's good. I hope that it's a great software, because if nothing else, it's going to make everybody else step up their game. And that's when everybody else steps up their game and the software gets better, us, the Tinters, we benefit from that.
absolutely. I wish them well. I hope they do good. I hope it's a perfect software program. I love David Kratz to death. I mean, he's one of my guys, and everything he does seems to turn to gold. So I have no doubt that that it'll be a good program. I hope it is, and I wish.
Well, John, I'm going to go ahead and bring in somebody in, but I want to thank you for joining in on the live. I know it took a little bit to get you on here, but you've had so much experience in our industry, and ever since I met you at Tinter Battles 21, I have a deep appreciation for the people that have been here for a lot longer. I've been doing this for 20 years, but there's people that have been doing this for 30, 40 years, and they come from the days where none of this existed. And so those are the people that I felt paved the way, the foundation for people like us, and then younger and newer generations to also have a fruitful life from this industry. So, from all of us, thank you for all your contributions, and
Appreciate it.
thank you for joining the live, and happy early birthday for tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, John. All right. So that was John Little. He is a longtime veteran, and obviously he is a Eastman dealer, an advocate of core. Even with the price increase, you heard him say it didn't matter to him because the value is there with core, and that is the hardcore truth for John Little. Now, the next person that I'm bringing onto the stage is none other than Colin Sayin. He is... You know what? I'm just going to bring him on stage and have him tell us the rest of it. So, Colin Sayin, how's everything going, man?
Good. I'm excited for Monday for Disruptive. So,
okay.
I know that they did test it. I did see a short video of them testing it. Dave and David have talked a lot about Disruptive, saying it's going to be really, really good. And I actually currently use film and vinyl design. So,
okay.
And I mean, I've even used DAP. So, and I mean, I had issues with DAP, and I mean, I have issues with film and vinyl design. It's like Dad always says, you increase your pricing to manage your business better. So, it's exactly how Dean and John Little said. That's what you got to do,
We have Tony Kiger. So I've got a couple of Autobahn people in the comment section, but nobody's wanting to join the live. Like, I need somebody to start joining the live because, hey, man, this is a disruptive episode. I need one of my disruptors to join the live. But Tony Kiger, who is an esteemed trainer at the Autobahn company, he says, is Disruptive a direct replacement to DAP or Core? No, not yet. With any software, it takes time, feedback, and development. No system is complete or perfect, but we can only strive to advance and improve.
Right. So I know
it seems like you're pretty excited to try Disruptive.
Yeah, I am, because I've been using film and vinyl for so long, and I've even used DAP, and I know I've had issues with both. For me, since I'm an Autobahn dealer, that's why I'm excited to carry it, because I use it. Something different. I always like trying new things, because if you just stick with one thing, you're never gonna learn, never adapt, And I don't mind if there's issues. If there's issues, there's issues. They'll fix it. Get it taken care of, and Autobahn has been really good taking care of it.
Right. So what was your thoughts on Core raising their prices and the Tinter community being like upset?
Yeah.
With Core? So
for me personally, whenever I heard about that, I was like, well, at some point, because I don't do any PPF over here at the shop yet. So whenever I was like, hey, I saw the price increase. Yeah, I was like, that for me personally, that was going to be pretty big. But for my price point on Core, because I didn't know how that would affect me later on. But it was pretty alarming to see that big price increase,
So are you like against, I guess, because there's two schools of thought, right? There are people that are pretty upset about the rising prices, and there are others who are more accepting of it. Like where does Colin Sayin, what side of the aisle are you on?
I'm right in the middle. I mean, I hate it and I like it at the same time. And it's like they said, I completely understand why they're raising it, you know, and it makes sense. But for me personally, I think I probably wouldn't have gone with core. I would have just stick with film and vinyl design and just probably bulk wrapped PPF, you know, for my budget. You know, that's just what I would have done. So
You bulk wrap PPF?
no, if the time came, I would have probably bulk wrapped PPF. But Disruptive, I'll see if they have PPF patterns and see how they go. You know, whenever I get into it.
You know, that's a great question for Tony Kiger, and he should be. I'm not sure if he's still watching, but Tony Kiger, if you're down in the comment section, please let us know what is the updates on Disruptive. I'd really like to have one of the disruptors joining the live, but hey, man, sometimes being on the camera.
I'm surprised Dave isn't on, but I don't know if he's busy or not, so that's why I'm surprised Dave or Tony
Dellinger.
Yeah,
He's probably driving.
yeah,
He's always on the road. I love Dave. Dave Dellinger, he's a great person. I've been knowing him for a couple of years, but it would have been awesome to have him on here. And, you know, maybe some of the other reasons why maybe like some of the Audubon people can't come on to talk about it is because it still hasn't, you know, officially launched, which will be on Monday. But anyways, I would love to have a discussion with anybody from the Audubon team that comes on here that just share what you can and let us know what's going on with Disruptive. This is obviously something that was different. One of the concepts that when it was originally getting announced was that a lot of the patterns were going to be user created. So you can create your own patterns, list them on Disruptive, and they were going to be selling them independently. I don't know if that's still the case or if something has changed, but that's what I want to know.
I haven't been told, and I know that kind of how DAP does it. They do have a cut bank on that aspect. And I mean, I have it downloaded and I've looked at it, but I can't make any cuts on it until Monday. But right. I do know that aspect. They haven't said anything on how the cut patterns are going to be, you know, on that aspect. So.
Right. Cody, if you're still watching, go to Tinter Battles on Facebook. There's a link to join the live. I want to talk to you because, I mean, this is a discussion about core. But on that same word, Cody Becker has been working out his core and losing a ton of weight. So I want to get his perspective because he's completely changed his life. He's changed the way that he looks, his approach, his mindset on things. He's been more business savvy, has more business acumen. I want to get his perspective on how should people be viewing this price increase on core, against it, in favor of it, neutral, as Colin is. I want to know. I want to hear it all.
Yeah. I talked to him a while back, and he said he's doing a whole bunch of flat glass, but I just wanted to have my input out there, so I appreciate it, Carlos.
Yeah, man. Well, appreciate you joining in on the live. Are you still in Houston, Texas?
I'm actually in Corpus Christi, Texas.
Oh, okay. But you were here in Houston. I remember you being here.
Well, I was kind of a sales rep for another small company is what I was doing, is traveling for a little bit.
Oh, I got you. That's why I remember. I remember this. Oh, now we have Dave Dellinger. Dave, get your Dellinger tinted self into this live. We need some answers from the Audubon team. Well, anyways, Colin, thank you for joining in on the live, man. I appreciate you being patient on the back end while we sorted out a couple of things and got you on this live. So thank you for joining, Colin. Are you going to WFR this year or Tinter Battles or WFCT?
No, but I'm going to the Audubon conference here at the end of the month, so I'm excited for that. But I don't know about Tinter Battles.
February the 23rd, I believe.
Yeah.
Audubon Hoop Optic and Edge is February 24th to the 26th. I have it here.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Cool.
Thank you, Carlos.
Perfect, man. Thanks, Colin. I'll see you down the road. Dave, all right. So Dave Dellinger say he's in a cab in Vegas. Okay, Mr. Rich guy, Mr. Rich man. Save money on plotter programs. Do more with flat. All right, let's get this discussion here rolling. I don't have anybody on the back end here joining this live, but Cody Becker says save money on plotter programs. Do more flat. Oh, okay, Cody. Okay. Just like you're probably the type of tinner that is posting one of these when people are asking for cutting software. And like, oh, the most reliable cutting software. Okay, Cody. Okay. Join the live, hardcore Cody. Dave Dellinger says Dave Dellinger says he's in a cab in Vegas. What are you doing in Vegas? Dellinger. Dellinger says, give him a couple of minutes. It's past the hour. I told everybody we're doing a 1 hour show, but I'm going to override and veto my limits, and we're going to go a little bit over because we got to get Dave Dellinger. We at least have to get somebody from the Audubon team to talk about Disruptive and why there's this disruption amongst the price increase of core. Now, I will have to actually, I do want to shed some light on something. I'm not going to release the identity of the person in order to protect them because they didn't want their identity to be known. But I did have a person when Core increased their prices, it caused a disruption. I decided to do a live stream show about cutting softwares in general. And the advertisement, the promotion was a little bit controversial. Well, that's what you get with the Texas Squeegee and with Tintertainment. However, it wasn't meant to be a knock on Core. The one perspective that I was completely missing from a lot of these conversations is the perspective of these softwares being investments, not expenses. And my purpose of wanting to do this live is to bring an alternative perspective so that we as a community can learn from it and see it better, because the better that you can see what's really going on, the more that you can use it to your advantage. See if anybody's down there. Anyways, I had somebody from the Eastman team reach out to me directly, and they understood that there are some complaints about it, but they assured that a lot of the price increase comes from the rising costs in everything that's been going around. So when new cars, new vehicles come out, it's relationships, as Dean mentioned earlier, it's relationships that you have with, whether it's a said manufacturer or dealerships or something like that. But those people have to be flown out there. You know, the flights have increased, food has increased, fuel has increased. In order to maintain a competitive edge for a lot of these cutting softwares, you have to reinvest back into the software. And if you are the user of said software, nobody that's using the software wants a worse software. Everybody wants a better software. And that growth requires funding and self-investment back into it. Marco Cazorla here with the clickbait squeegee. Marco, the film trainer Cazorla, just like Heat Shrink Battles in 2024, you were nowhere to be seen. And just like in this live, I can't hear you with these hater filters on. So set some time aside and join the live. Come on. We have Tony Kiger that says tint, PPF, and interior patterns on select vehicles. Let's see. Past your bedtime, son. And Marco Cazorla, the jester of the industry. I'm just kidding. Dave Dellinger, it's been a couple of minutes. We're on in overtime. Can Carl Gary Facio asking Marco, the film trainer Cazorla, the alleged father of the Texas Squeegee, if I can stay up a little bit past my bedtime. Walking my fish, can't go live right now. Oh man. This is you know, Marco, the film trainer Cazorla, has been tucked away in his nice little cubicle. He's forgotten what it's like to be an actual window tinter. So I don't know that he can really even speak on cutting software. So there you go, Mr. Film Trainer. Anyways, let's see. Let's go through some of the other comments right here. Zach Muralt says, my thought is $600 extra a year isn't going to make or break my business. I'm very open to trying disruptive though. Now, Zach, $600 extra, it's not quite the math, but I understand what you're saying. It's $600 a month for Core. And I had done the math. Let me see if I can pull it up here. How much of it is going to be a year? It's okay, so Core is $600, but that is if you're not using an Eastman product. Now, if you're a current Eastman dealer, Core is priced at $315 a month for tint and PPF, or $3,000, $420 a year, which is, it's not cheap, but it's really not too expensive for depending on how you're using this. All right, we have Dean Mitchell egging Dave Dellinger to go on. Come on, we may have to try another time. Dave Dellinger, oh man, he got that message from David Kreis and he goes, you cannot join that live. Don't join the live. I'm just kidding. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Damn it, Dave. Somebody from Autobahn team, come on. I would come on, but I'm still laying film. Randy, you can hold the phone this way. Where's Kyle Whalen? He wanted to join the live. He was one of the people that were commenting on it. Somebody from the Autobahn team has got to join this live. For nothing else, disruptive. We have Autobahn Dealer Conference coming up the week after XPEL Dealer Conference. We got to have somebody from the Autobahn team representing. Where's our disruptors? I'm currently just using tint, so I was paying $150 per. There we go. Zach Mural, thank you for the clarification. Tony Kiger says how to join. So here you go, Tony. I'm going to post this in the comment sections right here, right now. But if you want further instruction, you go to Facebook and look up Tinter Battles page, not the community group, the page itself. It says join me, and there's a link. Click on that link and it'll redirect you over to the show here. I'll have you backstage and I'll be bringing you on as soon as I get somebody. Vincent Dietrich, I'm glad you found yourself over to the Facebook page. This is where most of the action is happening, although we are live on YouTube Tinter Battles page as well. DAP is cool. Vincent Dietrich says DAP is very cool, but unlike Core, it is not available for public use. DAP is exclusively available only for XPEL dealers, and that is one of the bigger differences between Core cutting software and DAP. Now, I have a little Tinter trivia while we wait for Tony Kiger to join us. What does DAP stand for? It is an acronym, but what does it stand for? We need cash cadeaux with some of those signature WFR series live giveaways for this one. Bing, we have the hater film trainer, the hater of the Texas Squeegee. He says, bing, bop, a boom, 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 bop, bam. He must have been hacked by the robots. He's speaking robot language. Oh, well, best wishes. Bless his heart. Film trainer. I got to say is, Marco, you better take your vitamins and better show up to XTC next week fired up on all cylinders, because I'm not going to be dealing with the beep, boop, bop, bomb, bomb over at XTC. No way, sir. I'll send you back home. Dellinger, come on, man. Dellinger, you used to be with the company. Of course, you're going to know the Design Access program. We have Randy Humphreys. DAP at one point was sold to everyone. I do remember a little bit about this, and there was a lot of backlash when it was closed off, and Chris Hardy came on and he dropped the hammer on everybody saying, nope, XPEL. Now, there's been two different schools of thoughts on this one, because some people don't like that. And obviously the people, it's the, the haves and the have-nots. The have-nots did not like it, obviously. But there were others that said that this was a positive business move for XPEL. And this is, some time has gone by. And, like as Dean Mitchell said earlier, they lost 0 customers whenever this change was made, whether it was, well, obviously, you're going to lose customers by closing off that are people that are not XPEL dealers. But, when they raised prices, no XPEL dealer canceled their DAP subscription. Oh, say Marco Cazorla says he is ready, dropping a hammer. I'm ready too. I'm ready for Tony Kiger to join us. And ladies and gentlemen, the PPF legend, the industry icon, presenting to the Tinter Battles live stream by the Texas Squeegee podcast, none other than the Eye of the Kiger, Tony Kiger.
It's the grandest entry I've ever had.
For now, until I bring you on stage live and in living color.
Yeah.
Maybe at a future Autobahn dealer conference, we'll run it back. Maybe we'll run it back.
We'll see.
But so, Tony,
yes.
First of all, thank you for joining the live. Thank you for being one of the Autobahn disruptors coming onto the live. Number one, Core increased their prices. What is your perspective from an installer side? Like, remove the Autobahn temporarily. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about this price increase? What do you feel like? There was a lot of backlash from the community. Do you feel it's justified, or do you feel there's something that there's missing?
I think that the judgment is going to depend on how large and what kind of volume your shop is going to be doing. So if you're strictly a window film shop that's doing lower volumes, you're definitely going to see that impact in a big way. Now, me, I specialize primarily in PPF, so I do higher volumes or larger quantity installations. Therefore, our price point is already set higher on those installs. So in that case, it's an increase. It's not a drastic increase for me in that situation. But if you're a lower volume PPF shop, you're definitely going to feel that pain eventually. So.
Do you feel it's justified? How would it, if speaking to the person that's maybe doesn't have a high output, how would you what advice would you provide for someone like that? And it's to seek alternatives or to find a different way to maximize the value that they're getting with Core?
Well, one of the main things, one of the first questions we should ask is, okay, when was the last time you increased your prices? So have you increased them annually or biannually, middle of the year, things like that? And 9 times out of 10, the answer that I run into with dealers is, no, I haven't increased my price. So, well, there's inflation every year. So you need to increase your prices every year. If your skill set, your installation becomes better, or, you're wrapping edges more, you're going beyond what the norm may be, you should be charging more for that. And if you do that, then price increases, whether it's film cost, whether it's shipping cost, whether it's software fees, won't be as dramatic as an impact on you. Now, to say, yes, Core increased the price significantly, in this case, is my feeling. I don't know if I would fully justify it, because I don't use Core every day. So the ins and outs of it, whether it's certain patterns, whether it's tint or PPF or an interior pattern, tack diagrams, that's up to debate. I'm not going to be the one that's going to say, yes, it's made that big of a difference that we need to increase price that much. If your patterns are on point and you're not having to rely on a different software, or they have all the patterns there for that vehicle, then yes, stick with it, because it has what you need. But if there's other options out there for a lesser price point that have accurate patterns and sufficient patterns for you, then I wouldn't say, take a look at it and see if it fits your needs. But I'm not going to say just jump ship and go with somebody else. So,
right now, a slight switch, a slight pivot on the conversation.
Mhm.
What now? If you can't announce anything, I don't want to get you in trouble. So
No.
just but what happened? When Core announced their price increase, the timing of it was quite interesting. But the green squares, obviously, that's a David Kratz idea. It's a Crafty Kratz signature series idea. But was the timing of it just pure coincidence? Like what happened with Disruptive? It made some noise back in 2023, and now it's coming back with a bang in 2025. What's going on with Disruptive? What can people expect? Is it going to be available to everybody? What are some of the details that you can release as of right now?
Yeah, so it'll officially launch on the 10th of this month. So it's only a couple of days away. We have provided early release to select people, whoever's registered, primarily first. So they do have hands-on, and they are testing and playing with it. There are some quirks here and there that are going to be addressed in the updates with it, but that's with any software out there. Now, it will be available for anybody, whether they are an Audubon dealer or an Edge dealer. So if they're not currently an Edge dealer, Edge is open for anybody, so we can sign them on through Edge, and then they have access to it at that point. So that's kind of the workaround. So we still need to have an account to be able to have access for the software.
Okay, and one of the things that made it different, whenever back in, at least for me, because I haven't been around for cutting softwares for very long. I don't know a lot about them, but whenever it's Disruptive was first announced in 2023, one of the things that made it different was that there were user-based patterns that people were cutting in and sending in. Is that still the same? Has that changed at all? Like, what can you share a little bit about how the patterns are being created?
Yeah, I mean, we have changed direction a little bit on that. So we're not currently accepting, well, I should say we are accepting patterns in to be scanned for that. However, we still needed to be able to create a database to start with. So currently, that original model is not the way that it's currently operating. However, that will be implemented over time, is what Kratz has informed us of. So there is a library, there are patterns in there, and we will be accepting additional patterns, whether it's a dedicated company or you yourself creating the patterns to then be submitted. Keep in mind that if you're not using a scanner or a device similar to that, and you're hand cutting and then installing, or tape masking and then scanning, there are discrepancies with how patterns fit. So we have to go back and fine tune those so that's a viable pattern to be used.
Now, do you have any hand in designing the PPF side? Well, first, let me ask you this. Is it also going to be PPF patterns available in the Disruptive software?
Yep. So it's all for one price. So it'll be $119 a month, which currently it's at an annual rate, which would break down to $119 a month. But that covers PPF patterns for X tier, There are select interior patterns depending on the vehicle, window tint, some motorcycles, and then your basic door handle cups as well.
Okay. So, and yeah, so are you the ones that are you doing any design work for the PPF side?
I personally am not. No, not yet. I'd like to. Yeah, I like technology, so.
Yeah. Is it like what? So is this typically? I guess as somebody's cutting this, or you mentioned that there were scanners in use to create some of these patterns. Is that true?
Yeah,
Or
that's
no?
the only way you're going to create patterns in this case is by using scanners. So
Hmm.
I don't know how many we have the patterns sent and uploaded into the system, and then you have user access to be able to plot those. It is all web-based, so you do need to have internet connection to be able to access any of the patterns to be able to plot. So
I'm assuming, like, as far as plotters, it's universal. It'll work with any of them. Any standard plotter that people will have, it's compatible with that.
most of them that we have tested, there's been a couple where you might have to upscale the sizing of it if it's an older plotter, because there's GCCs, there's workhorses, and SCCs. There's so many different kind of plotters out there. So we're going through the process now of making sure if a plotter isn't set up correctly, how to get it set up so that we can still access it and there's no issues long term for you.
I got it. Now, will it have any capabilities to plot designs, like logo cutouts, or sometimes, like, in, like, for example, sometimes what we do on flat glass, we get these dreaded single pane windows that you have to kind of cut out a lot, and we just insert a shape, it cuts out the shape for us, and then we sometimes get pre-cuts from a plotter for doing flat glass. Will DISRUPTIV have a similar capability of that?
Yeah, you can insert or upload images into it. The image has to be scaled to the size that you need to plot it out to start with, or you can upload PLT format files into it, and then you can then customize and scale it however you choose if you don't already have it scaled properly to start with. So.
When you mentioned, like, you can, like, when you say you can upload, is this a select group of like contributors, designers, or is this open to anybody that wants to upload? Like, what is a little bit?
When I say upload, I mean bringing the file into your screen to be able to plot it from that, not upload directly into it. Now, I haven't tested it, but you could probably save it and then give it a name. That way it's within years, but not in a global format.
Yeah. Man, I can't wait for Monday then, because I know that there's been a lot of I mean, it's in the name. It was disruptive. It splashed. It sent ripples, throughout the window tinting communities and the paint protection film communities as well. So I can't wait for Monday, because I'm dying to see this, man. Like, it went away for some time, and then, you don't really hear much about it, and all of a sudden it's coming back with, like, a bang, like an official release date, like out of nowhere. It's in the name, disruptive. Like, it's literally what
and I want to make it clear that this is not a perfect system yet. There is no perfect system. I mean, I used to be an XPEL installer, so I've used DAP for 5 years. I've used Core on and off multiple times. There's no system that's perfect, but we're here to improve upon it, and it will take time. So as long as you give us time, we'll improve upon.
So be patient. It's just like anything. Anytime that somebody does anything for the first time, it's never going to be like your best run. Like, things get better over time, and they're never going to be perfect either. But the strive to perfection is really the name of the game, and that's something that I think with Audubon we have seen that in the last couple of years, the improvements. With David Kratz running the company, now CEO, in the last couple of years, with Audubon entering a lot of the community circles. Like, I still remember back in 2022 is whenever there was a lot of noise being made about Audubon, and then he started bringing in a lot of like well-known people to become sales reps, the Jason Omeletsky's, Haas Evans. You were in that group. Mike Powell was also in there, amongst others. So I have no doubt that wherever DISRUPTIV starts now, it's only going to get better. And that's the thing about a lot of these cutting softwares. The more that there are available and the better that they get, the people that benefit from it are ultimately the users, which would be like the everyday tinters in the shops, not just the shop owners, but also the tinters themselves, because they have to deal with this type of stuff every single day.
Well, the goal is to make a product, or to have a product that is budget friendly to start with, because if you don't, if say you're not good at bulk installing or even hand cutting, but you have a plotter, it's going to be the easiest way to do mass production or speed up your process to be able to get a car out the door and get another car in. So if we can help you provide for your livelihood, then that's all we're asking for. So,
Man, there's not much to say from there. Well, what do you have to say to people that are maybe on the fence about a cutting software period? Like, there's people that are coming from this and they're sticking to the old warrior samurai sword here, the Tinter samurai sword. But with much talk going on about cutting softwares, what do you have to say to people that are maybe on the fence about trying a software who have never done it before? What kind of plotter should they potentially consider starting with? And if they're going to go with disruptive, what, how should they get started with you?
well, I mean, plotter wise, I mean, I favor towards GraphTex. It's what I've used since day one. I've used other ones, didn't really care for them as much, but I'm not as familiar with those aside from GraphTex. I still prefer an 8600 if you can find one versus 9000.
That's what I've got. I've got the 8600.
I like
what. So I want to ask you, because
so.
you seem like you know a lot about plotters. So the 8600 got a lot of it seems like it's got a lot of good. Whenever. All right. So let me put a little analogy. Are you a fan of Toyotas? Okay, live is over. No, I'm just kidding. No, but how sometimes you have certain automakes, they make certain vehicles in these certain years, and it's that's the one that you want. Even the newer ones, they got all this new, but no, you want this. It seems like the GraphTech has a little bit of that. The GraphTech 8600 has got a little bit of that kind of that following, whereas the GraphTech 9000, although it's a newer model, people still flock to the 8600. Why is that?
Well, they did away with one key feature, and that's that on the 9000 you have to use all 4 rollers. On the 8600, you had the standby station, so you could slide 2 rollers all the way over and only use the 2. So especially if you're doing tint, you just set your 2 rollers where it needs to be, and it literally only measures to the secondary one that would come to that's not a standby station. So it's not taking a measurement of all 4 rollers. You don't have to take the pressure off of them. You just slide them out of the way and plot your film. So
has that been the biggest difference between the two?
Personally, yeah. I mean, they both cut the same way, so it's just moving the rollers out of the way so that you don't have to use them, and that speeds up the process time of just setting up your film in the handler.
Now, if you have to use all 4 rollers at the same time, my experiences with the 8600 is that those rollers, they're very textured, and whenever you roll film through it, it embeds that texture into the adhesive, which marks it on the film when you install it. When you use 4 rollers, are the rollers themselves gridded as well on the 9000s?
So you have to take the pressure off whatever 2 center ones you don't want to use, so that it's only having pressure on the outside ones. So otherwise it will, especially in window film, it'll put tracks through it and it's done. So
yeah. Okay. That when you said you needed to use 4 rollers, I'm how do you avoid not, like you said, not tracking it? Sometimes we call them the little tire marks. So that's really what it looks like.
Yeah, just take the lift the lever on the back of those 2 rollers all the way up, and it takes all the pressure off of it. Then.
Man, so the exciting things coming in on the Autobahn side now with the disruptive cutting software. Shoot, what is that the dealer conference coming up? Obviously, Disruptive will be fully up and running by then. What's going on with the dealer conference with the Autobahn Hooper Optic Edge? What is in store for the dealers that you can announce right now?
Oh, I mean, we're going to have breakout seminars. We're going to have guest speakers, as well as doing demos or hands-on training there. So I'll be doing a seminar dealing with PPF and doing live demos. So if a dealer wants to get their hands on and get some training as we're doing it, we'll have Kyle Wallen doing some wet glazing. We'll have Patrick from iMagnet Management doing some SEO talk and website stuff, and we'll have other classes as well going on. So we always have fun times because there's always some other events. There's a tint competition and a PPF competition this year as well. So.
And then there was announcements made that there was a paintball thing going on too.
Yes, so we're doing either. Well, I don't know if I can mention all of them, but yes, there will be paintball.
Any new products? Any maybe teases, new product launches, something besides disruptive? But
potentially, yes.
All right, potentially. We're leaving some things, some cards up the sleeve. So, are you guys going live streaming with any of this? Maybe the competitions, anything live streaming somewhere?
I don't know if we have a designated person for that, but I'm sure somebody's going to be doing live there. So maybe one of the dealers, but we may.
And then where is it going to be at this year, just for the audience?
It'll be in Atlanta, at the Atlanta factory is what it's called. So.
Got it. Atlanta factory. That is February the 24th through the 26th.
Correct.
Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah.
You're going to be at WFR later, the month after that?
I will be a judge running the PPF competition again. So.
Hell yeah. Nice. Man, I wanted to say anything new on the PPF side specifically, because I do have to, give credit where credit is due. The Incognito PPF that I've used in the past is amongst one of the most clearest, easy to work with. Like the tack is spot on. And that's something I know you and I have talked about in the past. Has there been any updates with other PPF lines amongst the Autobahn lineup offer with PPFs besides the Incognito?
Yeah. So the Incognito that you played with back in the day, that would be like a medium weight adhesive. We've actually came out with a high tack version. So you're looking at almost twice the aggressiveness of the adhesive. Top coat, clarity, everything else is the same on that. And then we also launched Restung, which is basically Incognito in a 10 mil format, which is actually has a higher gloss than an 8 mil does. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, man, it's crazy. So DISRUPTIV, we probably going to do another follow up next week on what's going on. Are there any things that you guys are holding back before the big announce date, or is pretty much you guys pretty open with up until now? Or is I feel like there's something on Monday that's going to happen, something special. I mean, it's David Kratz, it's quarterbacking this.
You never know with him. So, I mean, a lot of times I don't even know until it happens, and it's like, oh, okay, we're gonna take care of this one.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I want to set up a live with him so we can do like some kind of building on that taco bond with the Taco Bell thing and how he was going around. I want to do something with him. I'm like, he's down here in Houston, and like rather than doing a live over the Tinternet like this, I'd rather just do an actual live with him and maybe eat some tacos or something. So
he has been quite busy lately, just dealing with DISRUPTIV, setting up the dealer conference, getting everything worked out. But I mean, you got to remember, he's a CEO for 3 brands, so yeah, it's quite the load.
Yeah, especially this month. There's kind of a lot of things going on this month. It seems like the February 2025 is off to a crazy start. It's definitely disruptive.
Yeah. And I mean, when Core made the announcement, were we planning on launching it right then or even making an announcement then? No, we weren't. But I mean, they gave us the perfect opportunity, so why not? So.
Was it? There's a saying, man. There's a saying. There's a word yields opportunity. I can't remember what that word is, but yeah, it's. Anyways, I'm having a presidential moment, but yeah. But man, that's cool. I mean, I appreciate the honesty with it, and yeah, it's exciting to see what's going to be coming out from the Autobahn team and how it's going to be rolled out. Because with David Kratz behind the scenes, and you never know.
Yeah, I mean, we've got more things coming out throughout the year, not just for Autobahn, but across the board with Hooper Optic, Edge, and Autobahn. So,
are you guys going to be at? So Autobahn will be at WFR.
Mm-hmm.
Will Autobahn be at WFCT/Tinter battles?
Yes, not full staff, but we will have representation there. Yes.
Perfect. What about SEMA? You guys were SEMA last year. I believe it was your first time, Autobahn's first time being at SEMA?
First time back in, I think, 6 or 7 years. So basically, when you're gone from SEMA for that long, you basically have to start back over again. So they put you in a hall that you don't want to actually be in. But yes, we will be back next year with a much larger presentation and booth layout. So
this year, since you guys are coming back, you guys will be in the same hall with all the other like window film companies, or no?
Not sure yet. I don't know if we have placeholding yet or not. We'll have to wait and see on that one. I personally would like to be in the West Hall, but that's where all the detailing and primarily PPF is located. So.
Yeah. Well, Tony Kiger, Eye of the Kiger, I appreciate your joining in on the live and sharing some insight into DISRUPTIV and the cutting softwares, and obviously your expertise. That's you're an icon, you're a legend, you're a PPF professional.
Those are your words.
Truer words have never been spoken. But no, I know, man. Like I appreciate every time you and I have had conversations. You've always been so nice across the board. Everybody has nothing but positive things to say about you. And you know,
Appreciate
Eye of the Kiger. It's an incredible slogan. It is what it is. It's Eye of the Kiger. Attention to detail.
It came from my detailing days, so
yeah. Well, I appreciate you joining the live. Maybe we'll pick this back up sometime in the future. But if I hope to see you at WFR, give you a giant hug. I'll look up to you, literally.
oh crap!
Yeah. Well, hey man, thanks. I appreciate you joining the live. We're gonna start closing out the show. So, thanks for joining, and I'll see you down the road.
Appreciate
it. All right, that was Tony Kiger. Dave Dellinger, unfortunately, could not join the live. But Dave, if you're watching, hope you're doing well, my friend. I hope you didn't drive all the way to Vegas from Houston. This man drives everywhere. He's a road warrior. He's an Autobahn road warrior. That's how you know you can trust some of the products that he's selling, because he literally uses it day in and day out, puts more mileage in his truck than an actual trucker. So, anyways, let me go ahead and remove this really quick. Boom. Anyways, so we're a little bit 30 minutes past the hour. I said this is an hour show. For those that are still watching, thank you for hanging in there and hanging on. Thank you for joining us. This is, like I said, some closing wisdom on some thoughts on this. All right. So cutting software is there an investment. We've mentioned this throughout the show many times, but here goes. In business, the tools that you use to make you money are your money makers. Therefore, view them not as an expense, but as an investment. CRMs like TintWiz, Urable, HubSpot, QuickBooks, etc. are all money-making tools, just like cutting softwares like DAP, Film and Vinyl, Core, Tintech, Computer Cut, etc. You don't cheap out on tools because you only cheat out yourself and spurt your own growth. The fisherman does not buy a smaller net because the other nets are too expensive, for they know a smaller net yields a smaller return. Will price rise occasionally? Absolutely, as the cost of living also goes up. Don't dwell on the price increase of the software, but be optimistic about the reinvestments that will go back into the software that will make it better, stronger, more reliable, and ultimately more efficient. Don't cheap out on tools. They are your money makers. That is the Squeegee wisdom of the day. And a wisdom of the day that it is. It's been quite the week. For anybody that is watching who is an XPEL dealer, I can't wait to see everybody at XTC record-breaking must-see live from the Marriott River Center in San Antonio, Texas. And for everybody who is an Autobahn dealer, Hooper Optic Edge, hope you guys have a blast out in Atlanta, February 24th through the 26th. And for those that are going to be joining us, myself, WFR Family Reunion, March the 26th through the 27th, Chattanooga, Tennessee. I actually forgot to mention one little tidbit thing. Cadence Charlton, who was in an unfortunate accident, is doing well in his recovery, but they need help financially. WFR is hosting live auctions on their platforms in order to raise money to help Cadence and Letha Lassiter. So make sure to join WFR Lives. They also have links to contribute to them so that it helps to offset some of those medical costs that it's obviously adding up. So, but Cadence, if you're watching this, hope you get well soon, buddy. I hope to see you sometime later in this year and give you a giant hug, my friend. We are all blessed to still have you here live and in living color. Now, with that being said, this is the official... Wait a minute. Hold on. They're jacking me up with this. Give me just a second. There we go. Now, for those that are still watching, thank you for staying on this live. I will be seeing you guys sometime in the next 2 weeks. I'm not sure that I'll be going live next week because... For those that may not know, I am the official host, the MC, the commentator, the announcer for XPEL Dealer Conference 2025 on February the 14th, 15th. Damn it, I should know this better. But anyways, February 14th, 15th, so I'm not sure that there's going to be a lot of things going on that Friday, so I may not be joining live. However, I will be going live in some of these competitions. So those that are not able to attend, those who cannot attend can possibly join and watch some of the live competitions, as I will be live streaming some of these with my live commentary. And I can't wait to do this. I swear, this is not something that I put on for show. My favorite job to ever do is commentate competitions, regardless of brand. I don't care what supplier. I don't care what brand. I care about the people. I love watching competitions. I love the stories. It's not only just witnessing a professional, because all of us are pretty good in our own setting, but it's seeing the athletic version of the Tinter when they're in competitions and seeing everything, the facial expressions, the energy, everything. I love the experience. It is the best job in the world. So whether you see me at XTC, WFR, Tinter Battles, or WFCT, I can't wait to see everyone there and have an incredible blast. This has been a disruptive episode. It is not a war with Core. So if you're with Core, it is absolutely worth it. Give it a shot. Give it a try. Be grateful that it is available to not only Eastman dealers, but to the rest of the world. That being said, hope everybody has had a great, entertaining week. I will be closing down. Not sure I'll be back tomorrow. Or not sure I'll be back next week, but I'll be posting it on Tinter Battles Community Facebook group if I will be live streaming. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you for joining the live. The Texas Squeegee signing out, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Squeegee that. Boom, boom, boom. Ending the stream now. Squeegee.